All right. Looks like my next
Hey,
guest is on the phone on the line. How's it going?
it's Katya. How are you?
Good, good. So yeah, before I get into that, I wanted to make sure I pronounce your name, your first name correctly. So how do you pronounce it?
Katya. You were running from me, so I caught you.
I caught you. Okay. So when I first saw the name of the group, I immediately thought it was Katie. Uh,
Everybody does,
so
but then I caught you.
gotcha. Oh, very clever wordplay there. So I join with Katcha and the Interruption. Uh, just an incredible band that I first heard of through the Josie Music Awards nominees, and I say, why not? I just add her band in my rock playlist, and she's been giving me nothing but love since then. And I figure it's just a matter of time before we get this interview going. And here we are. Katcha!
Yeah, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, thank you. Great to have you on. So, let's talk about your band. Such an incredible band. How did you get into music, and how did this incredible band of musicians got together?
Oh, let's see. I've been a musician pretty much. I started singing before I could talk, so it goes back a ways. My mom was a musician as well, so I didn't know any different. I was, I was in bands all through high school. I studied voice. Um, in the mid 80s, we were actually, my all female punk band, which was called Toxic Shock, was up for a recording contract with Sire Records. But, as things often tended to do when female artists wanted to work, there was some quid pro quo, and not all of the ladies in the band were good with that. So we kind of walked away and went and did other things, and had lives and careers and all that good stuff. And a few years ago, Paul, who's the rhythm guitarist for the band, even though he'd been playing guitar forever, um, had never actually been in a band. So he wanted to be in a band. So we started one. And here we are. And so I recruited a bunch of folks that I knew from the local music scene in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which may sound familiar if you're a Bruce Springsteen fan or really anyone in New Jersey. Kind of like the place to go. So I had a lot of friends in the business and a lot of music teacher friends, and I've been writing songs since I was 14, and because that's how I make sense of the world. So we had some material to work with, and it just kind of took off from there. And put out the first EP in 2019, and the nominations started pouring in after that.
That's awesome. So yeah, I've been definitely been playing numerous songs from um, this band, and it's just incredible. Like definitely one of my favorites. From Music Monday
Oh,
last year, and I've got plenty of friends that I've interviewed that's been nominated for a Josie Music Award. Obviously, that's a prestigious award for independent artists like yourself. Um, so that's a segue to my next question. What was it like seeing your name and the band's name just being nominated for the awards for last year?
it was amazing. It was more than I ever expected. This is one of those awards where it truly is an honor to be nominated, because out of all of the bands that people write in to the Josie Awards to nominate, fewer then 2.5% of them actually become nominees for the judges to vote on. So you've already won if you're actually a nominee. You know, you're in the top 2%.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of indie artists out there. So, you know, that's just a phenomenal high.
yeah. That's just hearing the details of how the voting process is very fascinating. There's so many entries. I don't envy the voting committee going through all these names and try to pick five, six names per category. I don't envy them at all because that's a lot of talent, and just to look at them
Yeah.
and to listen to them, and to find out who's going to be in the final cut. And I'm glad that y'all are nominated for the awards last year. And just that made me a fan. Because I like to be very adventurous when it comes to looking for music to play on Music Monday show. So once I hear Katye and company, I mean I couldn't get enough. I played like five, six
Well,
songs from y'all for last year. It's incredible.
well, we're continuing in the same vein as we did last year because we had a lot of success with that rhythm of putting out a single every 6 weeks or so.
Hmm.
So we're actually going to have a new song coming out February 10th. And
February
it's a
10th.
little different. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a little different than a lot of the stuff that we usually do. This one's a little, um, it's almost like a little throwback jazzy number called The Best Part of Me. We thought we'd put out a love song because it's so close to Valentine's Day. And people that know my music generally know that I don't write a lot of love songs. I tend to take a rather more jaundiced view of things.
Right. So,
So, you know, it's nice to hear something that isn't like all bitter.
gotcha. So Valentine's Day, Day of Love, or Heartbreak, however people look at it. So that's coming out this Friday. The new song from this incredible band here. I want to talk about this latest single came out early January. Which, by the way, I will be playing on the first Music Monday show of the new year. That's coming up, ironically, on the day before Valentine's Day next week. So,
Okay, well, that one's more about a relationship that's kind of
mhm,
stuck in first gear,
yeah,
and nothing's really happening there. But you know, it's comfortable, and you've just been with the person for so long that even though nothing's happening, and you know that it's not going to be the great love of your life, you're afraid to leave, or you don't want to hurt the other person. And that's what it's about. It's about being bored in a relationship. It's called anodyne, which means that everything's fine. It's not great. It's not fantastic, but it's not horrible. You're just kind of there. You're stuck. It's like being in emotional carbonite if you're a Star Wars fan.
very clever, very very clever. Star Wars reference gonna work for sure. So that's it. I love the song. I love the song, even though I may not be in a relationship currently, or not used to be in a relationship. I just think y'all music is very catchy, and you can just sing along. It's a very um, intriguing music that y'all put out this past year, and for the last few years prior to that. Just the longevity that you have as a musician, going from here to there, and and coming back the way that you have, and being around such great musicians, and just putting together some really good music. It's definitely some of the best music that I've heard for
Well, thank you.
years. So just it's just
We are, yeah, we're just so blessed. We have the best studio to work with right here in Asbury Park called Lake House Recording Studios. And it's really almost an exact model of Electric Ladyland that used to be in New York City, where everyone from the Stones to Hendrix to, all of the big artists, Lou Reed, Velvet Underground, recorded there.
awesome.
So, we kind of get that vintage sound, but with new music. And I really have to give a huge amount of credit for our sound to our producer, Evan Rudenjack.
Hmm.
He's a young guy, but an old soul. And he gets it. I think he does as good a job as some of my older friends that I would previously have reached out to, but are kind of like semi-retired, folks like Ed Stasium, who produced the Ramones, Talking Heads, and all of that. We do kind of go for a bit of a retro sound, but good music is good music.
Good music is good music indeed. It's very, very contagious, especially when you definitely feel um, that passion, feel relatable content being, when you get that authenticity from artists, it just makes it so compelling. Music has a way to bring emotion to people. Um, it has to be um, very, very good. You listening, you play these music, you play these songs in front of crowds, and people come to you during intermissions or after the show, like, man, I love your music, man. I love your band. It's awesome. Um, and just, your passion for music is still resonate after all these years. So I'm very happy that I found your band on these meet on the internet on these awards stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing more music from y'all this year and moving forward. So
Oh well, I'll be sending it to you as it comes around, and I'm hoping that for a third year in a row, we'll be nominated again for a Josie Award. They are just such lovely people to work with. And I'm hoping this year, if we are nominated, we'll actually be able to go, because the past couple of years have not been fabulous for travel. I wanted to go last year, but had just lost my mom,
mm,
and it just really wasn't a good time to go. Yeah, my head just wasn't in that space right then. The creative
condolences.
time.
Uh, yeah, condolences go out to your family. Uh, very,
Thank
very,
you.
very, very sad to hear. Um, so go check out the new song. It's coming out this Friday on February the 10th. Um, where can people find y'all
I
on?
will post. Yeah, I'll post our link tree that has the links to all of our different social media and streaming sites, and the pre-save link to save the new song on Spotify in the chat. Would that,
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
spread for tonight's show? How would
yeah,
that be?
yeah, that work. Yeah, yeah, you can do that. Um, so you mentioned you're from New Jersey, which is home of
Yes.
the Boss, the Bruce Springsteen, the Boss. So, and New
Yep.
Jersey has had so many great musicians for so many years. It's just so much history. music history in that particular state. Um, so just what's that like? Just coming from the state and just just putting out the music. How do you feel about your longevity as an artist? What you've been able to do, what you've been able to accomplish, and the lives that you have affected. How do you feel about your longevity as a musician throughout these years?
Well, for a long time it was kind of underground, so I kind of feel like I've had two different music careers.
Hmm.
The first one being with the girls in the city in the 80s, and then now with my New Jersey band. And it doesn't feel like we're struggling as much because we're not dependent on a label. We kind of like being indie and doing our own thing. And I like that we're able to meet people and reach people much more directly now. Internet radio has people literally listening to us on 7 continents. I could never get that type of exposure in the old days touring. In New Jersey, of course, it's very competitive to get gigs around here. We're lucky that we have some good relationships with venues. We're all kind of at the point in our lives where we have other careers. So nobody's really up for much in the way of touring. We might do some small scale touring in the next couple of years, but also we're not really up for spending a lot of time on the tour bus. I like my comfort.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just nice. But the other good thing about being in Jersey is because people do come to the shows of the bigger artists. If we open for someone locally, we have a better shot being heard here than we would almost any place else. So if we do See Here Now Festival in September in Asbury Park, for example, there are going to be people there who are there to see the Killers, that are there to see. Possibly, I heard Foo Fighters might be coming, and of course, Bruce is going to come and crash everybody's show. So nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. Especially,
Not when it's in his backyard.
yeah, he could just chill out and just he could just show up whenever he feels like it. I mean that's his state, that's his city. He's the
Yeah.
boss.
You're
He,
going to tell him no? I'm not going to tell him no.
yeah.
I bought his. Yeah, I remember buying Greetings from Asbury Park, which I think came out in like 1973 when I was in high school. Granted, that wasn't when I was in high school, but I'd
Yeah.
heard of him, and my babysitters played his records, and I thought it was great. Actually, we have a song off of our first album that's kind of a tribute to Bruce, called Deja Vu. So, yeah, it's out there, and everybody here is influenced by who's come before in New Jersey.
So
Yeah, it's one of the few places that still has a really robust indie music scene and a really robust, original music scene. A lot of places I'm hearing from other friends that are indie artists elsewhere, they're having a hard time getting gigs because everyone wants cover bands.
hmm yeah, that's definitely challenging. Especially there's a lot of talented musicians, um, especially those with original music, and obviously these venues, these bars, they they gonna do, they gonna do what they want to do. But I feel
Yeah.
like just original music, man, just it hits different. Just especially it's like, man, I like this new music. I like this tune. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at some point, some of these venues and bars and other businesses. I mean, they got to get with the times. That's a lot of talented musicians in their cities, in their states, and they don't, and they just don't know it, you know. So I feel like,
Yeah, and they don't get the local love that
yeah,
helps them become um, better known artists. We we get a lot of love from the tri-state area, but when I look at my Spotify, when I look at my radio stats, and I see, oh, we're charting in Spain, we're charting in Germany. Like, whoa, how would I ever have reached those people in the past if I didn't have a record label?
mm,
And yet now we're reaching them, and
oh
that's
yeah,
awesome. I have people. I have this one guy in Japan, and it's kind of a play on the name because it starts with KAT. Every day he tweets me a different picture of a cat from Japan. So I'm writing a song for him because he's my favorite sweet super fan, and I'm calling it Cats from Japan because it's just so cool to get to interact with people that you would otherwise never have encountered.
this is incredible. So I'm scrolling through your Spotify page right now, and I'm looking at all these songs that I played from last year. Look at me, I'm not here. I definitely love that one. Infirmities with Genevieve, that was an awesome. When You Still Love Me, I think that's definitely my favorite song for y'all last year. And I did love Cutting One too. I love it. I like the cover. It looks like Easter bunnies, maybe. The cover for
Yeah,
Cutting One.
that's public sculpture someplace in the Netherlands, and I just played with it a little bit um, in Adobe. I'm not a graphic artist, but I like to pretend that I am.
Hmm.
So I do all of the album covers and all of the single covers.
Wow, awesome, awesome. Well, Katya, so good to chat with you. Um, Thank you for your and the fellas for the support. I'm very very excited to play more of y'all music moving forward. Y'all automatically on the Music Monday family at this point. So
Oh, well, we are honored to be there, Kenny. Thank you so
so
much.
just thank you for the awesome music that y'all have had on display for all these years, and respect for you for just having this passion for music for all these years, and just reinventing yourself and being around great musicians, and it resonates. You're definitely a true representation for Jersey. Um, and I like the boss. I like Bruce Springsteen, but I love Katya. I love Katya.
Oh,
So yeah.
well, thank you.
So
Yeah, at least my fourth resolve.
so thank you so much for your time. It's an honor to have you on the show. Continued success with the
Thank
band,
you.
and I'm looking forward to the new song coming out this Friday, and I'll definitely be glued to my Spotify release radar when the clock hits midnight on Friday. I'm definitely gonna be eager
Excellent.
to
Yeah,
listen.
I'll make sure that my admin sends you over um, an MP3 on Friday,
I appreciate
so
that.
you'll.
Thanks
Oh, it's
again.
my pleasure. Thank
And
you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, Kenny, and we'd love to do it again. Next time, maybe some of the guys can join me.
yeah, yeah, for sure. We definitely can do that. For sure. You have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week.
You do the same thing.
All right. All right.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
everyone. Take